Hello and welcome to the Cloud and Blue podcast. 6 minutes late, calm down, all right? These things happen. We're live. It's an estimation, these start times. And John is in a hotel in Belgium using his phone. So give us a break, all right? I'm Dan Rolinson, joined by John Townley. John, do you want to explain where you are and why, if people don't realise what's going on?
Yeah, I'm in Belgium, in Brussels at the moment, waiting to head over to Bruges tomorrow morning for press conferences, and then obviously the game on Tuesday night. So yeah, arrived many hours ago now actually, but waited for the FA Cup draw anyway, the brilliant FA Cup draw, and we'll discuss that a little bit. Looking forward to Tuesday, of course, but it's hard to kind of think about it yet because I'm still in FA Cup mode, to be perfectly honest with you, and I think I probably will be for another maybe most of tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll talk about that draw in a little bit. Of course, we will talk about Bruges as well. And this is our weekly Q&A, so we'll answer some of your questions. We have got 7 or 8 that were sent in prior to going live. Of course, if anyone watching along on YouTube wants to ask us a question, you can do so, but we have got some to go here, so you might be asking things that we're already going to answer anyway. The first one, seeing as we've got talking about change of location, let's start with a silly one from Sam, who said, with John's flag always blowing around in the background and him saying there's no fan there, does he have ghosts? Is your house haunted?
If people are watching this and have no idea about the flag behind me, well, that's probably a plug for any episode in the last week, so go back and check out my flag. No, I don't know why it's moving, and I don't think I have ghosts. Although, where I live, I'm pretty sure... What was it? It's a very old building, but it was previously... I can't remember now, but either way, probably not that relevant. No, I don't have ghosts. At least I think I don't have ghosts.
No ghosts that you know of. Morning to Villa Minimum from Australia, and evening to everybody else who's probably watching from the UK. Just a little shout for any tech problems, by the way. John's audio is not as good as it usually is. Obviously, hopefully that could be excused for where he is and what we're doing here. Before the comments inevitably blow up about, oh, it wasn't as good as usual. These guys' standards are slipping, etc., etc.
The Wi-Fi also doesn't work here, so I'm using my
exactly data. which is why we were a couple of minutes later than the estimated start time. There were a couple of comments that came through before the show started in the live chat that I noted down as well. From Jake, who first of all said, please do another Hockley live show, lads. That is the plan. We try and do one every year, normally in the summer as an end of season show or a season preview. So hopefully we'll do one in May, June, and hopefully we'll be talking about winning the FA Cup as well. That'd be good, wouldn't it? To have something like properly tangible to celebrate
before the season even finishes.
Yeah, true. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, when we do a live show after the FA Cup final, who knows? Darren says we could talk about the FA Cup to begin with. Given the choice, obviously we know it's Preston now, would you have preferred a Championship team away or a Premier League team at home? Could this be Bradford all over again?
Ugh. No, I prefer a Championship team away, 100%.
Yeah, me too.
This is the second best short Villa could have wished for.
Yeah,
and I just know
at home being the best.
Yeah, I don't say that with any sort of like, oh, but this could happen, that could happen. Yeah, anything could happen because it's football. But Villa should be beating Preston. They should be beating any Championship team, home or away. There's no excuse to not win that game. And those for me are the facts. And of course, you have to respect Preston, but I'm basing this on Villa respecting Preston, and they're going there to play then in a semi-final at Wembley for the FA Cup. And judging by the teams that have gone out as well, we've got a really good chance of winning the thing. So, yeah, for me, there's no excuse not to win this match. I think at home, I would have backed us against any team. Away, I wouldn't have backed us against any team apart from Preston or maybe Fulham. We have a decent record against Fulham. But Palace away, Bournemouth away, Forest away. Forest, I presume, will beat Ipswich. City away. They were all very difficult games for Villa. So, yeah, Ipswich away. Sorry. Preston away is a fantastic draw for Villa, in my opinion.
Yeah, and with hope of not blowing the live stream to smithereens, here's our reaction to the draw live earlier this evening. They're emptying the ball bag.
Don't make any jokes about that.
I thought you'd laugh then, but you didn't. Right, here we go. Number 1, Preston at home.
2.
Will play.
2.
Come on, Danny Murphy. Yes! It's Villa. Get in there. Oh, I love that.
Respect Preston. Firstly, this is one of those things where you clip up and you put it out, and then we lose to Preston.
I wouldn't care if that embarrassed me, because this is the draw that everyone wanted. It's nothing more than a fantastic draw. I'm absolutely delighted with that. You know, you don't want to get kind of too ahead of yourself and stuff, but Villa have got a game against Championship opposition to get to Wembley.
Yeah.
How good does that sound? And let's go through the draw quickly, because I love this part. So either Brighton or Forest getting knocked out, or Ipswich. Bournemouth or Man City. Fulham or Palace. Oh, mate.
Oh, mate.
I mean, my
we're back now. We're back now, yeah. And you were in an airport then. The commitment to the podcast, you sat down in the airport to kind of live the FA Cup draw through me. I was just reading them out. Ball one plays this, and Danny Murphy's up to this, and whatever
I
else.
placed a lot of faith in your hands there. If I tweeted the wrong club or whatever, posted it, yeah, terrible that would have been.
Yeah, we wanted to get our reaction to it. We were hoping you might have been already in situ by the time the draw was done, but you don't even just literally just got off the plane. So we recorded that earlier live as it happened. I was so tempted to stitch you up and say, "Oh, it's Man City," like really make a big thing of it. But great for a clip it would have been. But you were literally relying on me to tell you what was going on, so I had to be honest.
I was really nervous about the draw, to be honest, and I think a lot of people were as well. Mainly because we know that we have such a big opportunity, and if it had been City away or Forest away or Brighton, any of those sort of difficult away matches, I really would have been sulking about it, and I would have been pretty down. So my mood is completely different now after finding it's, of course, Preston. The journey that I made here, I was thinking, oh, Preston would be great. Preston would be great. Newcastle are losing, fantastic. Another good side out. So. Yeah, I think it was nearly a perfect draw for Villa, genuinely. And again, we could get knocked out to Preston, of course. That can happen. But as we sit here right now, I even look at the rest of the draw, and I think that's it's kind of fallen into Villa's hands a little bit. But Bournemouth and City playing each other, there's a chance that semi-final, if Bournemouth repeat what they did earlier this season and beat City, and they battered City, by the way, then we could be looking at Villa, Bournemouth, Brighton, Fulham. It's just semi-finals, and that's you really couldn't wish for a better opportunity than that, I don't think.
Yeah, and you'll have the neutral saying, "Oh, terrible standard for the FA Cup this year with those teams that are in it." But for the teams that are in it, what an opportunity for them to go and win it, and that's Villa this year.
Yeah, I don't know how to put this, because I don't like seeing other teams win things that haven't won something for a while. If that makes sense, because I feel like I didn't want West Ham to win the Conference League, for example, but it's better. How do I put it? I'd rather see these games as a spectacle rather than watching City against City when they were properly good, or Liverpool now against kind of a mid-table side. And you know what's going to happen. Like the other year when City, it's Watford 6-0 or something. Like I do think that the FA Cup sometimes becomes a bit of and the Carabao Cup as well, when the same teams win it over and over again. Man United, Chelsea, basically your commercial six sides. So hopefully that will be. That trend will be booked this season, and only if it's us, by the way. If it's, Forest winning it, I think I'd rather City have won it, to be honest. So, yeah, hopefully it's on here.
Yeah. A little bit of a dose of reality potentially from Taylor and Marine Boy. Will my hopes just be heightened to be heartbroken, says Taylor. And Marine Boy, can I just remind everyone... our last 9 league games away, 1 win, 1 draw, 7 losses. Now, yeah, I get all that. We got time to maybe sort that out. I mean, we haven't been able to all season, but if we're going to sort our away from that, it's kind of Brentford now.
That's it.
Brentford away. No, is Brentford away? Yeah, Brentford is away, isn't it? Brenton and Brighton away, and Preston, Bruges away, obviously on Tuesday. Like, if they were going to succeed in their hopes this year of going further in the Champions League or winning the FA Cup, we're going to have to win some away games somewhere. It's only 1 away game. What do you think about Wembley, by the way? Not as a stadium, but I know it's not away. Yeah, but it's not necessarily just like, it's not away. It's that it's not Villa Park. Like, he's a neutral stadium as bad as it being away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that can either work for us or work against us. I mean, that's quite obvious, isn't it? But I see what you're trying to say in terms of we're not going to, a stadium where, 85% of the capacity is their own fans. I do think it levels it out quite a lot. So I'm fine with us playing someone on neutral turf. That's fine with me. I don't really kind of subscribe to the idea that because we're not playing at Villa Park, we can't play anywhere. I get it if we're playing Selhurst Park, and even it's mad, the GTEC Community Stadium. It is a chance for those sides to get one over on us because we do look pretty weak there. But Wembley, no, I think that's it's completely different. It's an occasion. Half of your fans are in the stadium.
Yeah, but it's an occasion for them
it's
as
a
well.
big pitch. No, I know, but it bounces out, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So I'm okay with it. Put it this way: would you rather play Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park or Wembley?
Yeah, Wembley.
Yeah, or Fulham, Craven Cottage, or Wembley. It goes Manchester City, the Etihad, or Wembley. So maybe
I put Villa Park at the top, though, not.
I know, but then there's no guarantee you get a home. I don't know how that would even work in terms of home ties, or what you do, play 2 legs for semi-finals on the FA Cup. So yeah, I mean, ideally it would be Villa Park for every FA Cup tie, and that would be the same for us. But we'd obviously have 50% fans of the Villa as well. So I have no kind of issues with that, though. I trust that we can beat anyone at Wembley. The teams that are left in the competition, we just need to beat Preston now, and we'll have a.
And also, chance. Talking about sorting out our away form, I saw somebody on social media, and I've not checked this, that Preston's home record is something like 13 unbeaten.
Yeah, I did have a look at that. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. They're good at home. We're not good away. I see the narrative kind of being written there that maybe Preston are the ones to cause an upset because they're the lowest ranked side left in it. Yeah. Villa are a bit ropey away from home. Like the signs are there for maybe something happens here. But also Villa will hopefully have a couple more players back. We're talking another 4 weeks. It's only the start of March now, and the games are played in the last weekend. So maybe Pau Torres plays in that. Maybe Kamara plays, and all of a sudden we're a better team, and that helps us fix our away form. So, if we were playing it tomorrow, maybe I would be a bit like, they played really well against Burnley in a derby, and their record at home's good, and we've just lost to Palace. I'm a little bit scared. Another month, maybe we've won every game since then, and we all feel totally different. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but in theory.
Yeah, well, the game we played after the first game back after the March international break, easy. Oh my god, easy for me to say. So, with that in mind, unless we get players injured on international duty, like McGinn, Watkins, Rogers, if he goes, some other players as well, then you could look at that. But Kamara is obviously in the squad against Cardiff, and this is kind of players can get injured again in the 2 Bruges matches and Brentford, but Torres will be back soon, Barkley, Cash, Anana. So realistically, we should have nearly a fully fit squad, I'd like to think, going into that Preston match, and then Brighton away, which is a massive game in the league, by the way. So it's going to be really, important few days even after the break and then onwards in the campaign. But it would be a fantastic way to kind of start that, basically the last part of the season. It is a good draw though. Like, I don't want to kind of dwell on Villa aren't good away from home. Well, Preston might be good at home in the last couple of months against Hull City, Sheffield Wednesday, and whoever else they might have played. But and I know I said it in that video, then you're going to have to respect them, but I'm basing this on Villa going there and doing the job professionally, because this isn't the 3rd round anymore, where previously we may have rested players and kind of had one eye on other things, one eye on the Brighton game. If this was in the 3rd round, I'd expect that to be the case, but this is a game to get to Wembley, and I think that even in itself brings on another kind of motivation for the players. If this was a game to be in the hat for the semi-final, and it's like the Carabao Cup where you play over 2 legs, even that I think is psychologically a bit different. Whereas you're playing at Wembley, that in itself is a motivation, whether it's the semi-final or the final. So we should have hopefully thousands of Villa fans there. I don't know what the allocation would be exactly, but I know Burnley had, was it 5,000 to 6,000? I think
you get the whole stand, don't you?
Yeah, we had a lot in the Championship. Obviously not great memories when Di Matteo getting sacked wasn't like a bad thing, but the game itself, we were bad. It was 2-0.
I think so.
I do remember, was it 2-0 that we won? Chester scored, and I forgot what else scored in the game. But I remember that, and that was like a big win for us at the time in the Championship. I do remember that. I mean, that's a long time ago now. But
tangent here. Is the last time we played Preston the Glenn Whelan penalty sliding doors moment? Is that correct? Must be.
Well, let's think. What did we? Oh, you know what?
That would have been.
What we did what did we do at Deepdale that season? Did we lose 3-0? Did we lose?
I don't know. Sure. People in the comments will correct us in a minute. I was just thinking that game wasn't as early as I thought. That could have been the first game of the 2 that season, actually.
I try to pride myself on knowing these outcomes, and for some reason I can't remember them.
There's a
No, I
game,
can't remember. I can't remember what we did at Deepdale that season. Someone tell us in the comments, please.
Yeah, somebody will Google that in a second. Let's pivot a little bit for a second while somebody does that for us. Talk about Kane Kessler-Hayden a little bit. This has been a topic on social media for the last hour, obviously. There's been a talk of the day in the last 45 minutes about whether he's cup tied or not. People sharing the FA rule book and all these different things. Kessler-Hayden himself has tweeted an emoji. I was going to try and reenact it then, but I can't.
It's like a melting emoji.
A melting kind of sliding. Like you use it in the sense of like, oh, something's gone wrong kind of thing. He was man of the match against Burnley. It's not very often the man of the match doesn't get to play in the next round, obviously, because of playing against Aston Villa as a loanee. Now, there is something in the rule book that says something like, if the parent club gives permission, it can be arranged on the last midweek Thursday afternoon before the fixture, whatever it is. And it's like, even if that's the case, which I'm not even convinced it is, why would Villa give permission? Like, this isn't a friendly. This isn't even the third round. Like, if this makes them weaker, I'm sorry, but I don't care.
Yeah. And it does feel a bit kind of like bit of a side point, I suppose, because we're only talking about Kane Kessler-Hayden because he's a loan player from Villa. Are we talking about, is it Brad Potts that they've got, who's also probably decent for them, but no one, do you know what I mean? So whether he plays or not, Villa should win the football match. But him not playing, probably weakens Preston. He's played well for them this season.
I've seen a couple of their fans say that not only has he been good for them, so it's a blow in that sense, but also that they've got a couple of injuries at the back and they've got somebody who is cup tied as well, so it leaves them light. But again,
how can they be cup tied? But who's cup tied? I was trying to think about this. I didn't look.
I don't know.
At the game against Burnley, there was no red card or anything. So
no, cup tied as in they've signed. I assume they've signed somebody in January who must have played.
Oh, sorry, of course. Sorry, yeah. I thought you meant just.
So obviously, there's an extra round, isn't there, or maybe even two for them. So I don't know, but ultimately, there's absolutely no excuse for Villa not to win this game. And I tweeted that clip of us reacting to the draw, and somebody replied something like, in tongue in cheek, "This will be retweeted loads if we lose." Not well, yeah, obviously so, but we're not the only Villa fans who are happy with this draw. It's the best we could have got, bar it being at Villa Park. I don't want to hear about Kane Kessler-Hayden is the reason they turn the game around, or they've got injuries, but they managed to have some fighting spirit and beat plucky old Villa. No way. Like, this has got to be Villa just go there, get the job done, win the game, and go to Wembley. Like, I don't want to hear any excuses about, oh yeah, but Watkins got injured the week before. I don't care. It's Villa just got to go and do the job. This is the best draw we could have had. And if the carrot of Wembley semi-finals and potentially winning the FA Cup for the first time in 70 odd years or 65 years isn't enough to beat a championship side, we don't deserve to win the thing anyway.
Yeah. No, there's no embarrassment on our part if we lose the game. In terms of that clip or whatever. The facts are, if Villa play well, they should win the match.
Villa will be the embarrassment, not us being happy.
Yeah, I mean, I will feel embarrassed, but not by what I would be saying is fair play to Preston, because that's what it is. They have to show up, of course, Preston, and play their best game, but also hope Villa don't. So yeah, if they're a Champions League team, round of 16 side, it's not being kind of obnoxious to say that we should be winning this match. I think it's pretty obvious that that's the case. This would be a big shock. So yeah, it's all, the onus is on Villa to do it. Preston will be hanging up all sorts in their dressing room about these people, not us, by the way. These people have been writing you off.
If we're in the dressing room, something's really gone wrong.
But do you know what I mean? It's going to be like a big motivator for Preston. Everyone's already written them off, and that they could go to Wembley as well, of course. I don't know the last time Preston have been to a semi-final of an FA Cup, but it must be a very long time. So yeah, onus is completely on Villa. But if we do our job, we should be fine. So yeah, it's a great draw. And the rest of it as well, I look at it and think, yeah, good, because Man City don't have an easy task at all. Forest are away, who are the highest ranked team in the competition, of course. And one of Fulham and Palace are going through, again, at a neutral ground in Wembley, so it's not like we're going to Selhurst or Craven Cottage. And then the other tie is Brighton. Forest, I just said that. So, yeah.
There's a comment from William who says, we won 6-1, Tammy hat-trick. Now, I don't remember that, and I've Googled it. So I'm glad I didn't take it as read. The last game we played against them was a 1-1 draw at their place in December 2018. Actually, that can't be right. Oh, actually, it could be. The 3-3 game, it doesn't have it on this website. Sadly, it says no comments available.
The 3-3 game would have been early, obviously.
that was the week. No, October. But you play
Early
at
in
the
the
turn of the
season,
year,
yeah.
so it's a chance that like, Preston was our first kind of playing somebody twice again. To play them in October or December doesn't sound right, but I mean this website's not let me down before. So yeah, I mean there was a 6-2 game against Preston in 1962, but I assume Tammy Abraham didn't score goals in that one. So yeah, anyway,
Youngest goal scorer ever.
Yeah. Dr. Nicky's raised a point, which I'm, again, not 100% sure is correct, but it sounds right. Would you rather have Man City in the final? Because if you win or lose, we'd be in the Europa anyway, because they should finish in the top 5. Is that how it works? It just sounds right, doesn't it? Because they don't get the Europa League place because they've got Champions League anyway, so it goes to the runners-up.
Got to finish. Is that
does
right?
Does it go to the runners-up? I feel like
I don't think that.
I feel like it used to, but I don't know if it does anymore.
No, that can't. No, that's thrown me off. That's not right.
I think that might be right.
You don't get. You get
because who does the space go
Sure
to?
not.
Does it just go down to somebody else in the league table?
No, it just gets taken out.
It's just not
So
nobody.
Man United, for example, Man United nicked Europe off Newcastle, right? And then Chelsea went to conference. Man United weren't getting Europe if they lost that game.
No, but Newcastle didn't. Oh, did Newcastle finish in the European places last year?
Okay, so Man United finished outside the top 7. So going into that game, they had no Europe. They had to win to get into Europe. So there's your answer.
But were Newcastle in the European places last year in the league?
Newcastle was 7th.
Okay, right. Yeah.
And then Chelsea finished in the conference because they finished 6th. But Man United had... So basically, the 2 spaces for Europa League is... How do I put it? Because it's going to change this season. Is normally 5 and 6, right? Places 5 and 6. So last season, 5 and 6 places were Tottenham and Chelsea. Yeah, you with me?
Yeah.
And then Newcastle were due to be in conference at 7, but because Man United won their FA shambles, absolutely.
I knew that was going to happen.
Because Man United won the Europa League, they then took one of those 2 spots in the Europa League. So Tottenham, Man United, Chelsea get pushed back to not 7th, but to Conference League, meaning Newcastle get nothing. So no, there's no talk of Man United getting no, that's not true.
I think it used to be that.
I
think if you go to the runners-up at one stage,
unless we've missed that this season and it's a new rule, which I highly doubt. No, I don't think that's the case.
No. Oh, let's just win the thing anyway and be done with the whole thing.
However, unless the question was trying to say that Man City winning because they're in the top 7 means that 8th is Europe.
Well, yeah, I think
because there is a way that if we kind of paint this picture, if Villa are going to finish the season in 9th ahead of the final game of the season or whatever, they can't get Europe, and in the final they're playing
a team that is already guaranteed to be in Europe. It could go down to 9th.
No. What I was going to say is if Villa finish 9th, right, and they play, for argument's sake, Ipswich, right? Ipswich would get 9th, yeah, and Conference League would only be 7th still. No, it wouldn't. Yeah, it would. Yeah, it would. Yeah, it would. Yeah,
we're making a real pig's ear.
Because what I'm trying to say is, right, for Villa to finish in Europe in 8th position, okay, they need one of the top 7 to win the FA Cup.
Yeah, so Man City in that case would be right. Yeah.
And then Villa could finish 8th and get Europe still without winning the FA Cup. It would be the Conference League, but Europe still. Sorry, I've probably killed everyone's.
Rough Rides has taken a quote from presumably the FA website saying, if the FA Cup winners finish inside the top 4, let's say 5 now, or 5th, thereby qualifying for the Champions League, it qualifies them for the Europa League. Then the Europa League qualifying spot would be offered to the FA Cup winner, will be reassigned to the next highest ranked Premier League team. So yeah, just moves down a league position, as you just said. Yeah. Stylish One says it then goes to 9th if Man United or Spurs win the Europa League. Is that right?
Yeah. I think it probably. Oh no! Hold on. Why are we doing this live?
I don't know.
You're saying if Man.
Because they're not going to finish in a European place in the league, but if they finish in the Europa League, they'd be in the Champions League though. I don't think that would affect anything.
Yeah, the Champions League. No, because there's already spaces guaranteed. So
yeah.
Say there's how many spaces are in the Champions League again? I don't know.
36,
40,
is it?
36. 36. One of those spaces right now is guaranteed for Europa League winner.
Yeah.
It doesn't affect the Premier League.
And the Champions League winner, I guess.
Yeah.
So 34 teams, if we take those numbers, only are allowed to qualify via league positions. There's two spots already
five of
reserved
them
for
being from the Premier League, if the coefficient is fine this season. You really confused me all there, and I hope we haven't slipped up and said something wrong, but in my head it all makes sense.
That's all right. Let's move on, shall we? We've done 25 minutes of FA Cup chat. David says, thanks, boys. Clear as mud. Yeah, I mean, we're doing it live. It happens. Just on the FA Cup finally from DJ, could the FA Cup now be our best chance or the priority to ensure European football? Now, we've spoke about this before. I think yes. I think finishing 8th, potentially, if that is what is required for Conference League, yeah, still doable, 8th. I'm not hugely convinced at the moment. But FA Cup obviously guarantees you Europa League. Would we be in a position to finish in the top 6 right now? Not quite so sure. So I think now that with Preston,
7th
FA Cup,
remember?
Yeah, 7th could do it. Yeah, I think the FA Cup is now the priority, and we've been asked to rank the competitions in order of priority as well. But I think it is the priority. And I know I've said a few times about there's been a bit of a I don't know, like an easy thing to say, oh, let's just go and win the FA Cup. And I've been a bit like, we've still got a while to go yet. This was before Cardiff.
This was before the draw.
With Preston as well, I'd be shocked if Villa weren't in the FA Cup semi-final. If you then get to Wembley, whoever you play, I'd be pretty annoyed if we didn't get to the final as well. So I think now the FA Cup is the priority of, like, if we're going to put all our eggs into one basket, it would be the FA Cup. That'd be my top priority of the 3.
Yeah, I mean, you could try and simplify this in a kind of a more simple answer and say Villa are second favourites to win the FA Cup. I'd have thought City are probably still going to be first in terms of the bookies anyway. Not that really matters for much anyway. But yeah, I would agree with that. I think it's, again, I'm stating the obvious that Villa are favourites to beat Preston, and we can, if we assume that they beat them, then, as you say, Dan, that's 2 games in neutral territory where we know that Villa can win against any of those teams at Wembley. Yeah. They can. And it's only 2 games, whereas we've got 10 games remaining this season, and we're behind the April already, and there's lots of competition for places. We may, only finish in the Conference League, but as you rightly point out, the FA Cup gives you access to the Europa League. So I think in the space of literally a few days, our route into completing our goal this season really is probably through the FA Cup, which is quite scary, to be honest with you, because that means that it's, maybe all or nothing. And it is a really weird complex that the FA Cup final has been played a week before the final game of the season. So I don't know how it's going to pan out in terms of if Villa were to get there, then the Tottenham game, would that be played in the week leading up to the Man United match? So you played 2 games at the
possibly.
End. And if that is the case, then did Villa, if they lose at Wembley in a final, then do you have to win both those matches to get into the Conference League, or what will that do? So there's lots of storylines going on in my head about where the season can go from here. But if you ask me now, what's Villa's best way to Europe, I'd probably say is the FA Cup now.
With Kamara and Powell says Sten Joe, we can go unbeaten. I absolutely love the optimism, but I'd be stunned if we went unbeaten for the remaining 10 games in the league.
Especially because we lost games with Powell and Kamara before. They got
I think it's a lot to ask to be unbeaten.
I do rate the optimism.
English with Richard Parks says, guys, why are we so down about not getting 4th or 5th? We're only 4 points off 5th. Now, when we say things like, we're only 4 points off 5th, we get it thrown in our faces to shut up and stop being so silly. Yeah, of course, it's not impossible. But as we keep saying, at the moment, we're not showing the form to be able to go and put a run together.
We haven't taken the opportunities that have been given to us. We said it before, I'm not going to go on it forever, but West Ham, Ipswich, and Wolves, 2 points from 9 there. And then what did we do? We lost 4-1 to Palace. Like, we've just wasted. Whenever we get 2 good results, we've then thrown it away in the next couple of games after that. So, yeah, Villa can get 4th or 5th still, blimey. But where's the evidence to suggest that we are going to win 5 of our last 10? Because we haven't won more than 2 games in a row twice since September. So we'd have to go on incredible run of form considering what we've just done. I'm not going to bet against them though.
Yeah,
Still.
obviously it's doable until it mathematically isn't. But if you, I wouldn't back that right this second. Top 6 maybe, top 8 definitely. FA Cup winners definitely. All right, let's move on. Finally, at last, to something different. I should change the FA Cup background, but I mean we're in a kind of
No, keep it.
We're not talking about FA Cup or Champions League at the moment. We're just going to talk about squad a little bit, and we don't have a background for that. Matt says, what do we think about the number 10 position now that we have Asensio and Rodgers? Do we think Rashford will be asked to stay wide, meaning Rodgers tucks in from the right with Asensio at 10? Could we rotate them both? There's also a question about Marlon, but save that for a second. We spoke on our post-match show after, I can't remember what it would have been, but about Rodgers being less effective when he's not playing centrally.
Yeah.
But how can you not play Rashford and Asensio in their best positions? It kind of only leaves the right-hand side for Rodgers, doesn't it?
Yeah. So I'm just trying to work out where to put my hands. I want to put them in front of me, but then
They're massive.
awkward doing something, but yeah. This is something I've raised a few times, and we haven't quite seen how it's going to play out yet because Rodgers has either not played with Asensio or Asensio hasn't started. So it is a bit of a strange one at the moment. I'm unsure about it, to be perfectly honest with you, and I'm not trying to kind of drag a negative in here, but Rodgers for me has to play centrally. I say has to. Of course he can play on the right, but to get the best out of him, you play him centrally. But Unai's made it very clear in the last couple of weeks that number 10 is the position he wants Asensio to play. He opened up a little bit more than usual about the kind of conversations he's had with a player joining, in this case, Asensio, after the win over Cardiff, and basically explained that, firstly, as we knew before, that he'd wronged him previously before he joined PSG after he left Madrid on a free. Villa obviously wanted him, spoke to Emery, didn't come to the club, fine. But even at that point, it was, we want to play you in the number 10 position. You haven't been playing there like regularly, but that's where I think you can, play your best football and help us the most in this structure that we're going to kind of provide around you. That's the same conversation that happened in January. So it is very much the case that he wants to be the number 10, or Emery wants him to be the number 10, sorry. But I don't know how that works with Rodgers. I don't know. It's one of those where I'm going to have to wait and see, because even if I had a clear opinion right now of like, it doesn't work, scrap it. It would be premature to say anyway, because we haven't seen them play many games together yet. I think you need a bigger sample size to see how it looks. However, I definitely have my reservations right now. And, I could be blown away if they score a hat-trick each at Deepdale before Mother's... is it Mother's Sunday? What's it called?
Mothering Sunday.
Mother's Sunday.
Day.
Mother's Day. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Mother's Day is on the Sunday, apparently. And I think Villa should be playing on Saturday or Friday because we play Brighton on Tuesday. But
yeah. Why is that relevant?
I don't know. Not sure. Anyway, Rodgers playing off the right. I don't know. Just we'll have to wait and see. But I do think that is the one area of the team for Villa where they don't have... Not the one area of the team, but if I kind of go through their attack, you go, Watkins, fine, kind of top talent, Rashford, top talent, and you have Ramsey backing that up, Asensio, top talent, you have Rodgers there as well, pretty much top talent. On the right, Bailey scored 1 goal this season, and Marlon, again, I really do like. He seems to be a bit of a utility player at the moment, though, because we haven't seen him quite...
Has he started a game on the right-hand side yet?
Oh,
I feel like he hasn't.
I'm not too sure. I can't remember. But again, kind of too early to judge to suggest that, you have to play him on the right and he has to play every game. Whereas with Rashford, you can tell that that's starting to happen a bit. With Asensio, starting to happen a bit. Rodgers, we know that he has to play. But again, kind of where we'll have to wait and see. So a lot to think about. Good problems. But yeah, I don't know. Bit of a question for me, that right side at the moment.
Yeah, and Asensio played off the right for Real Madrid, and that's where, when we're doing these kind of dream 11s, when you sign these players, we did think Asensio plays on the right, and Rodgers plays at 10, and that's kind of problem solved.
And that's, if I was the manager, I think that's what I'd be doing, but Unai's made it pretty clear.
I do as well, but, Asensio scoring goals from the number 10, you kind of don't change that, do you, at the moment? There's no reason to, but it doesn't get the best out of Rodgers, and kind of putting Asensio in brings us a different problem. Maybe putting Asensio on the right brings us a different problem as well. I don't know who plays behind them as well. But does that change it? Seems odd to buy Marlon if we're not going to play him or Bailey, said Matt in the second part of his question. Now, you're right. Marlon's definitely been used as a bit of a utility man. He's back up to Watkins, and he's kind of the Duran replacement in the sense that Duran wasn't starting games either, and neither is Marlon. So it's kind of, we are where we were before. There's a lot of talk about why didn't he come on the pitch against, was it Cardiff maybe? Or Palace? I can't remember.
Palace.
Palace, yeah. And then there was to talk about that he was unwell and then didn't obviously play against Cardiff, yeah. So it was like, oh, he's going to be fuming, Marlon. He's out of the Champions League squad. He doesn't even come on against Palace. Or he wasn't very well was the reason why, which obviously isn't ideal. But that right-hand side is a problem, I suppose, for the want of a better word. Bailey is not the option, and Marlon at the moment hasn't kind of taken the ball by the horns and run with it. So I don't know what you do on that right-hand side, apart from Bailey right wing back.
It's a strange one with Marlon because he probably should have had a goal on his debut against Wolves. It was chalked off for, was it a little push that Rodgers, I don't know, can't remember now. I think it was. Yeah, that was to make it 1-1.
From the set piece.
Yeah, it wasn't given. And then has obviously been ill, was left at the Champions League squad, so won't be playing Tuesday. I don't know, it's been quite a bit of a disruptive start for him, but also we've brought in players and it makes his role harder to, I don't know. What I've seen from him, I like, and he could have scored a few goals by now, which is, good. He hasn't scored, but I like that he's even just getting in positions and having opportunities, which is, that's fine. But yeah, how it goes from here, I'm not too sure, because Villa, again, as I mentioned there on the right-hand side, I don't think they have that star quality. Maybe that's something they look for in the summer. And, they just brought Marlon in, who was probably, not happy to be on the bench at Dortmund, wanted a fresh start, a chance to play Premier League football. So, yeah, he's going to kind of will have to earn his place in the team. And with lots of injuries happening this season, it will be the same next season as well. So we're playing football, of course, but yeah, he's got work to do, basically, is the point I'm trying to make. To be the player that I think when he joined, he probably thought he was going to be. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Let's move on to the other end of the pitch from the Welsh Brummie. Can Konsa play with Pau, or are they too similar? If we are going to make any progress, do we need to buy a top-class proper defender of a centre-half to play alongside one of those? I'm kind to agree to an extent.
Firstly, sign and upgrade in every position. I mean, that seems like a bit of a cop-out of an answer, but it's actually something I said. Did I write about it or said it on the podcast? I can't remember. But Villa haven't kept many clean sheets at all. Clearly, the defence is an issue, and I don't think it's as simple as just buying another player, because it's about your structure and how you operate as a team. We all know that. But yeah, Villa brought in Disasi on loan from Chelsea, which obviously a good signing, an expensive one in terms of a loan. When he goes, well, you either negotiate for a permanent transfer if that's what they want and what Disasi wants, or you buy another defender. So clearly that's something that's going to have to be looked at in the summer. Powell coming back is going to be a boost for us, because I don't think we have controlled games anywhere near as well when he had been playing previously. And Mings has obviously missed a few games as well. So the defence in general has been, kind of been cut apart by injuries. It's not been ideal whatsoever. So to answer the question, I do think the defence is something that Villa will have to look at in the summer. But I did a piece previously saying that, well, Rashford, that's one decision. Asensio, another decision. Luka Dean's got 12 months on his contract. Your centre-backs, Disasi's going. What's happening with Mings? He's also got 12 months on his contract. The only thing that looks relatively stable is the midfield. But yet Onana can't stay fit. Barkley's had a bit of an injury issue. No doubt there'll be interest in different players in the Villa team. So it's going to be a really big summer again. One that you hope Villa will be able to keep their prized assets and add to it. That's always the hope in every summer window, where Villa finishing in the table may dictate that and their power. But yeah, definitely a centre-back would be on my shopping list in the summer. I mean, it has to be, but a good, a top one, spend lots of money on one. Yeah, that's definitely something that I'd be inclined to do.
Yeah, okay. Let's move on then to Tuesday night's game now and talk about Bruges versus Villa. If we can click the right buttons, we should come back with a Champions League layout. On the defence, let's start with it, shall we? Does Emery revert to the three centre-backs plus Luka Dean on Tuesday evening, asks Raj. So that'd be Disasi, Konsa, Bogard / Mings, and then Dean as your left-back. I mean, Disasi or Konsa
That's
could play
confused
right
me
back.
a little bit. The three at the back, including Dean, as in
the three centre-backs with one of them playing right back that we saw last season with Konsa at right back.
Oh, right, sorry. Yeah,
Carlos and Torres or whatever combination.
Yeah.
So you've got one proper fullback, and then you've got a centre back playing right back. That could either be Disasi or Konsa. Roch says this was a staple of the team for the big games last season. I think that's our only option, given the squad that we've got at the moment. That obviously Garcia is not in the Champions League squad, which we'll come to in a bit. And Matty Cash, as of Friday night, was injured, and he will still be injured for Tuesday. Do you think? I know there's a presser tomorrow, but was it a long-term one?
No, Emery did say that he was close before Cardiff and that he had a chance of being in the team, basically. So,
okay. Well, so did Barkley for Liverpool, and we're still waiting. So,
yeah, but I'm not sure what Cash's issue was, but it should be an MCL tear like Barkley's in the end. So we'll see what Emery says. But I tend to agree, because if we don't have obviously Garcia, and if Cash isn't ready, well then Disasi or Konsa will have to play.
Yeah, there's no other option, is there?
At right back, yeah, no other option. So. Yeah, and whether Mings is fit or not, that's another question. So there is a chance you play Konsa and Disasi, right back or centre back. We'll find out. And then your left centre back would have to be Bogard, right? Was that what the question said anyway? Yeah.
I like that though. Bogard's been good so far. I've been happy with him. I wouldn't be. I mean, when we spoke a lot about Bogard at the start of the season when he played right back a few times and looked a little bit ropey, not his position. We've kind of talked to that quite a lot. He played the game in midfield. I can't remember who the opposition was, but he played really well. Came on, played well. He's played centre back and played well as well. That at one stage, if he was in our defence in the Champions League knockout game, I'd be going, oh, no, that's obviously not as strong as Pau Torres being there or Toro Mings being there. Obviously, he's vastly inexperienced. But if on Tuesday night the team news comes out at 4:30 or whatever it is, and Bogard's playing left centre back, I'll be relatively happy with that. I think he's been really good over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, no, don't get me wrong. I wouldn't be nervous or like, that's a problem or whatever. But we did ship 4 goals against Palace the other day, and we were pretty terrible defensively. So I think, I know you already know that, Dan. It's just levelling out the kind of, I don't know how to quite put it, but playing the Champions League is a different kettle of fish to playing Cardiff, obviously. So ideally, I'd rather have a more stable back line, but we don't have that luxury, do we? So my guess is that would be the back line. Again, if we'll wait and see what about Cash and the injuries, and then Dean would be playing wing back. So, you build from that. Yeah,
we'll do a predicted 11 in a sec. Perry asks, do you think it was a mistake? Appreciate we have hindsight now to leave Garcia out of the Champions League squad. Now, I saw this on Twitter, and there were lots of replies saying, no, he's in the squad. It was only Marlon that missed out. No, no, that's not right. We didn't really speak about Garcia because we knew it was only going to be 3. Villa signed 5. The inexperienced right back from the Spanish second division, when you have Cash, when you have Konsa can play right back, when you have Disasi can play right back, and you can have Bogard who could play right back, I suppose. Kamara could drop in and play right back if you really, really had to. Garcia is literally bottom of the list of the priority of those 5, that it almost wasn't worth speaking about. He will not be one of the options. But the biggest talking point of that squad deliberation, Marlon, the only permanent signing, he's missed. Oh, what a blow that is. It was almost like some people thought Marlon was the only one that missed out because Garcia wasn't really spoken about. But Garcia is not in the Champions League squad. He will not be playing at any point against Bruges or any of the following fixtures. Cash, obviously, we're still waiting to hear about at the presser tomorrow, but I'd be surprised if he starts, to be honest, to just come out of nowhere. But obviously, you never know what their situation is. Comment earlier saying is Cash becoming injury prone. I think he's been injury prone for his entire career with us, really. He's never really been reliable in that sense. So, yes, now it is a mistake not to have Garcia because since then he's played really well, looks an impressive signing. Would be our starting right back on Tuesday because we have no other options. So, yeah, it does look like a mistake. But tell that to anybody, what was it, a month ago, that one of Rashford or Asensio or somebody else is going to miss out because the right back from Spain's second tier is going to come in and start. Like, it would have been silly. So, it's one of those, isn't it? It's not a mistake, but it's a little bit of a headache for Tuesday and beyond.
Yeah. I said at the time that Disasi was probably the most important player to put in that 3-man list because, and I think I stand by that because if you look at where we are now, if Disasi wasn't in it and we had the right back, no, how do I put it? It's just that for me is a much bigger risk, or it was a much bigger risk to leave Disasi out because the centre backs, especially at the time, we had one fit defender, and that could still be the case if Disasi wasn't in the squad going into the next game. So. Yeah, it's hindsight. Of course, Garcia's had a really strong start. Coming in from Levante, the second division of Spain, as you say, made his top flight debut literally like weeks ago. So, been very impressed by him, but I don't think anyone can say that. Yeah, he should be in the squad as of a month ago. And what would be said about Rashford and Asensio? Rashford, who's made more chances than any other Premier League player in his first 6 appearances for the club in all competitions, and Asensio, who's scored 4 goals in 2 home games. So, yeah, one of them in Disasi is you needed that for me. And again, for versatility, as you say, he can play right back, so can Consa. So that is done there, and it's experience. And then obviously the 2 forward players as well. It was specifically those 2, they were no-brainers as well. So, yeah, it's just hindsight. It's a shame. And Villa were annoyed about it in terms of the rules, and I tend to agree. I don't know why. You can only name 3.
I do, yeah.
Especially if you just load up 10 more players in your squad, of course, that's silly. But if you sell, I don't know why it can't be sell one, buy one, sell one, buy one. Or should I say add one, take one out,
Yeah,
that should be how it's done. I don't know why. How many do we sell? Like 7, and you can only bring 3 in. Even if doesn't seem like a good rule at all.
Is it a 25-man squad? The limit,
and even then it's reduced because 4 of them are given for club trained players. So we have only Jacob Ramsey in that. So basically, we have a squad of -3. Put it that way. Yeah. Jaden Philogene was that, so now we're 1 player lighter than what we were for the league phase.
Let's say your squad is 25 and you have 25, and say the squad is 25 and you have 22. You sign 3 in January, you can add 3, and now you have a full squad. Fine. If you signed a 4th and wanted to add him in, well, you can't because you go over the squad limit. Oh, that makes sense. That's fine. But if your outgoings have reduced your squad limit to below the cap, you should be able to add back up to the cap again if you had that previously. So, yeah, the rules are the rules. It's irritating, but we move on and have to just deal with it. And Emery will deal with it, not make excuses for it, and hopefully we progress through to the next stages with the rules. I don't want to say against us because they're the same for everybody, but it feels like it when we've lost players from the squad and not been able to replace them. But it is what it is.
And we've sold those players because of the financial rules of the Premier League and UEFA as well. So you could make the argument that they are against this year.
Yeah, but I don't want to sound bitter, so I'm not going to.
No.
Baker Rooney says, Leon Bailey's performances this season have been consistently poor. Why do you think Unai keeps picking him?
I've said it for a long time. In terms of the balance that he gives the team, I'll admit it's been poor for most of this season. He only scored 1 goal, as mentioned earlier. Only got his 2nd or 3rd assist. I think it's only 2nd assist in the win against Cardiff. So, it's been a poor season for Bailey. Completely. He'll admit that as well, and he has admitted it. But the balance he gives, it allows players to take up positions. My worry with Rodgers playing in that role is that he'll clog up space in the middle. And what does that mean for Asensio and for the midfield? Bailey, gets chalk on his boots. He hugs the wing. He allows players to overlap at the right times. Like his role in the structure is very set. We saw how good it was last season, and we're still seeing it this season. There's still times where he'll find himself with space on the wing, and he doesn't make the most of it. But he's done the first bit in terms of holding his position well. So I know why Bailey's been playing lots this season, and I think it's kind of, I think at times probably too easy to knock him and say, oh, he should be playing, he should be coming off. Well, what's the alternative? It was either Philogene, who I said from the get-go, a player I'm very excited by and still am. But on the right, it's just not his position at all. He's a left winger. He does what Bailey does, but on the left side, basically. And Marlon has obviously only just joined and has been ill and, still getting used to things as well. So, and again, a very different player to Bailey. So how that works, I'm not sold on either. But in terms of the structure that worked so well last season and is working well in terms of in the final third this season, getting space and allowing players to move into those kind of dangerous positions. That's what Bailey is good at. And I think it's kind of easy to miss, but he does. It's just a shame that when he has received the ball this season, he's not threatening anywhere near as much as what he did last season. He's taken 1 touch too many. He's overthinking things. He gets smothered by defenders. Those are all big things that he needs to work on in his confidence and stuff like that. But in terms of what he brings to the team and the structure, I think that's been, a positive.
Yeah, I'm with you. I get it, but I don't. As a fan going to the ground and you frustrated by him not
Yeah,
playing
yeah,
well,
yeah.
it's annoying, and I've not rated him this season at
And
all.
that's
As
why.
Christ, absolutely nobody. But there is the hope there from Emery and the coaches and whoever else that he's not gone. He's not a terrible player overnight from last season. Like he's been rubbish this year. Don't get me wrong, but he's got
Yeah.
quality that if he can, I don't know, nick a goal somewhere. I mean, he should have done it, I suppose, in December when he scored and didn't. Maybe that isn't the answer. I don't know, but there's clearly something there that if they can unlock it, or he can unlock himself, maybe there's something himself isn't quite right, and all of a sudden he scores the winner on Tuesday night. Maybe has a great couple of months to end the season, and he's important. So I'm never going to be like, oh, he's crap, get rid of him. What if he scores the winner in the FA Cup final? And in March, I'm going, oh, he's crap, get rid of him. It's stupid. He's still our player for now, and he still will play. He will 100% still play, and could be important. If he goes in the summer, yeah, different conversation. But while he's still a Villa player, I'll support him. But I've obviously got doubts, as I'm sure everybody has, about will he refine that form, because as of March, he hasn't this season yet. And that's obviously not why Villa aren't as good as last year, but it's a part of it.
Yeah, it's also why they had a chance of leaving in January as well. There's interest from Premier League teams. So, again, kind of going back to earlier in the episode, this is why I'm interested to see how Rodgers gets on in that position, because it's a big change going from Bailey, the profile of player that he is, to Rodgers or Marlon. So how it works in the structure, kind of wait and see. But yeah, I'll kind of hold my judgment until then, basically.
Yeah, okay. Let's try and pick an 11 then, based off Dave's question. Do you guys think we should go strong for the away leg against Bruges to hopefully kill the tie-off, enabling us to then rest some players for the return leg and our following fixtures? When I first started to read that, I was going, of course we're going to go strong, Dave. It's a Champions League last 16. But I know what he means. Yeah, obviously we're going to play our strongest 11 that's fit and available. Of course we will. But are we going to play to a style, maybe, that is going to kill the game? I'd be very surprised if we went gung-ho to try and win this 3-0 or something like that. And I don't think we will anyway.
Could you imagine if we did, though?
Oh, it'd be unbelievable. I'd absolutely love it. It'd be unbelievable. To go into our Premier League game knowing that the Champions League is kind of halfway. You know, we've got one foot in the quarterfinals of that as well with a home leg. Yeah, it'd be unbelievable. But I don't see that game unfolding that way. I think we'll go strong, obviously, and we'll pick an 11 in a second. But I think we would. Actually, I mean, you're not going to ask this, Emery, tomorrow, because I know you have limited questions, and this is a stupid one probably. But do you think we would, as the club, take a draw on Tuesday?
Oh no, that's not a stupid question at all. It's very relevant.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it kind of is a bit stupid.
Well, you can say that you're going to set up to, avoid defeat.
Well, I think that's probably what I mean. I think it's more likely we go there aiming not to lose than aiming to win.
Yeah, I think that will be. It'll be. We're going to go there to be hard to beat. Yeah, I think that has to be the case.
Which we haven't done at any point this season.
No, and then that's why I'm not very confident. Actually, I'm confident over 2 legs because we have the second one at Villa Park, and I think the atmosphere should hopefully get us through that. But no, I wouldn't be shocked if we lost the first leg, genuinely. And I'm not just saying that because we played them earlier in the season, but that obviously is a good bit of information. And I'd
be shocked if we lost heavily, by the way. If it was a 3-1 or a 4-0 or something like that, of course I'd be shocked. But if we lose this game 1-0 or 2-1, I'd be like, well, yeah, they put everything into their home leg first to try and go to Villa Park and kill the game by being defensive and hold on to what they've got. Whereas I think Villa would be, I think it'd be foolish to go there and try and win comfortably because you open yourself up to be punished. I think if you can get out of there 1 goal down or level, I think that's a good result.
Well, and it will be interesting, and I wonder if it suits Villa because of the players that they have. We know that we are good in transition, and even more so now with the pace of Rashford and the ability of Asensio to pick players out, and Watkins and players off the bench as well. We should be fresh after the hour mark too with players coming on. Obviously, it worries me that we're going to have to defend because they're going to come at us, of course. They know they probably need to take an advantage. Well, I say probably. They don't need to beat us because they beat Atalanta by a few goals. So they won't be feeling that they're even out of it, even if we win 1-0 or 2-1 or whatever. But it is an interesting dynamic. That's what I would say. I'm with you in terms of I don't think that it will be a game where either side scores or sort of wins by a few. I think it will be really tight and probably quite scrappy. And I don't think that'll be a bad thing, to be honest. I'm not wishing for an open game at all. They've got players who can hurt us, and they definitely hurt Atalanta. They took the chances when they came. So, yeah, a game which Villa will have to really manage very carefully, because if they're not kind of at it or they're making mistakes, they can find themselves 2 goals behind and they're panicking then. They're thinking, oh, we need to take something back to Villa. And this is now a completely different tie. So we do need to be really careful. What you don't want is to, as I say, lose by a couple of goals on Tuesday, then come back to Villa Park and have that huge pressure. We know we're not very good defensively anyway. So I do think you need to have something to hold on to if you can. And we'll see where we go from it. But it's a very evenly poised tie, I think.
Yeah, a couple of questions asking whether the away goals rule is still in, and it isn't. The away goals rule is irrelevant now. I think it was last year or potentially the year before they canned that.
A couple of years ago, I think, yeah.
Yeah, so the away rule doesn't mean anything like it used to. The away goals rule, sorry. A couple of comments about the game. David, first of all, I'll just read these in one go. Is there a danger of Emery overthinking this away leg, leaving us with a lot of work to do at home? Possibly. John Doran says, I think that's dangerous. You go out to win every game. Craig says, I'd take a 0-0 and no injuries. Get the job done at Villa Park. Stuart says, it's not Toulouse, it's Club Brugge. Good, yeah, Toulouse, good. And Rob says, I think we will win comfortably. And Levi, they have the inspiration of beating Atalanta and they've beaten us already, so they'll be up for it. This is their game. They're at home in a Champions League last 16 game. This is on them to do the job in the first leg, because they will be hoping to go to Villa Park. The game plan will be try and do something at home and hold on to it away, because Villa Park's a tough place to go. We're away second. I think that, again, maybe that plays into Villa's hands, that if they're going to come at us and we can get them on the counter and we get something unbelievable, yeah, great. I think we're, like I say, the job is pretty much done then, because I think we'll win at Villa Park. But I'm not taking this lightly as it could have been Real Madrid or it could have been this. So this is an easier game. It isn't. This will be really difficult.
Yeah. I do think Villa have 2 advantages, though, just quickly. Obviously, the second leg at home, and obviously with the potential to go extra time and penalties, that's all at home as well. Obviously, not going to fly to Belgium for extra time.
The first half at their place, second half of extra time at our place.
Yeah. And the other advantage is that I think it helps us that, how do I put it, we've lost there already. And the fact that they've beaten us, that could work against them. And they haven't experienced Villa Park. We've experienced the Jan something stadium. And, I don't think we're not going there and it's everything's unexpected. We're kind of working out the dimensions of the pitch and that sort of thing and taking half an hour to grow into it. No, we should be ready from the get-go, because this is what we experienced last time. And the players who haven't experienced it, Asensio and Rashford, well, they've kind of done other things in their careers, haven't they, that should equip them well for nights like these. So
hard to think so, yeah.
That I'm okay with. And also, Emery, he kind of dropped it in a previous press conference after the draw was made. He made a little comment of like, and we're taking some information from there. When he says information, it's probably like books worth of, all these different things that he'll now have. He'll have a lot equipped. And put it this way, and this isn't to kind of criticise Nicky Hay and their manager, but I'm doing it because Emery has won 4 Europa Leagues and played in Champions League semi-finals. Unai Emery, over 2 legs, having already played this team and those players, I back to get the better of against this team and manager. And I think even Club Brugge fans would say that Unai Emery is a better manager and is probably a better tactician than this guy. That sounds really like patronising. I don't mean that at all. Like, he's clearly done very well with them, but I'm hanging my hat on Unai Emery. Do you know what I mean? One of the best coaches in world football.
Naturally.
And he's played that team already. So maybe there could be a couple of surprises here and there. But Emery knows it. He's seen it. He's played them themselves. I'm sure he has all the information he needs. It's just up to his players now to piece together that game plan, essentially. And they have 2 attempts to win the tie, of course.
Yeah. Page number 1 in that book is only Emi Martinez can pick up the ball with his hands in the penalty area.
Yeah, and again, like, if we're going to kind of go into that, we lost the game because of that reason, genuinely.
Yeah, it was a crap game. That should have been 0-0.
And Club Brugge wouldn't have been in the knockouts if that didn't happen. And maybe that's a bit of a goal line technology and Sheffield United thing between us and Hawkeye and Neelands, because, they could have then had more motivation to win another game. So, don't want to kind of go down that route, really. But
also, if that was a draw, we'd be playing Barcelona on Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly. So,
if it's as simple as that, we'd be Lille now, wouldn't we? We'd have finished 7th, I think, and finished and we'd be playing Barcelona in the round of 16.
Or
So
even-
yes,
yeah.
Bruges is an easier game than Barcelona. I get it. Like, this is an easier game than some of the others, but I would not be going to this going. If I was doing a prediction now, holding up my whiteboard, I ain't going, 4-1. Should win here, shouldn't we? They're not very good. That game at their place. It doesn't really work like this, but should have fizzled out to these two teams are pretty rubbish on the night, 0-0. And I would then be going into this game thinking, well, I'll take a 0-0 for the first leg in a knockout game against them, because if we just cancel each other out and it's a bit rubbish again, fine. I don't think, we might, but I don't think we'll, do I think we'll lose there? I mean, we'll do a prediction in a sec, I suppose. But I was going to say, I don't think we'll lose there twice. We might, but I do think a draw
Surely
is probably the
we'll
most
score.
likely outcome.
I'll say
Yeah.
surely we'll score. Are we going to go
Yeah.
there twice and not score? Maybe. There's a chance, but do you know, it feels like if we can get a goal.
And we're a different side
don't
now
know,
than we were
anything
then
can
with Rashford and Asensio, etc.
And by the way, we were shocking.
Yeah.
We really were. Like, Bruges played their part in that game, and they probably should have been ahead even before we gifted them the penalty. But after that, I remember thinking this is really bad. The way we were trying to get back in the game, it was really poor. So that was one of the worst performances I've seen from us this season. So I'm hoping that even 10% more than that gives us an opportunity to just take something back to Villa Park. But yeah, I do think it'll be a tough game. Obviously, it's the Champions League round of 16.
Do you want to? We don't track the score predictions. I mean, I don't see the point anyway. We never get any right, do we? Either of us never seem to get any results right.
My
so
prediction would be.
I don't think there's any
1-1.
point. I also think 1-1, yeah. And I'd
Yeah, very
absolutely would
safe,
take that. As a fan, I would take the draw. But I don't know whether the club would set up to take the draw. Would they be happy with a 1-1? Probably, actually.
Yeah, I think so.
Just don't lose. It's one of those that you just put down as an absolute must not lose. Because if we're going into that second leg, even if it is only a 1-goal deficit, they will come to just hold on to that. Or maybe they come to hold on to it, but we gift them a goal in the first 5 minutes and they've got a 2-goal advantage and we've got 80 minutes to break that down. But imagine how horrible that's going to be. So you just don't lose the game. That'd be my only target. No bad injuries, don't lose.
The kind of comparison to this in a way would be Ajax last season when we drew 0-0 there. One of the worst games, genuinely, not in terms of how we played, but in terms of how boring and like we really did sap the life out of that. Which is fine because we took them to Villa Park and thrashed them 4-0. So, I'd repeat that for sure.
Do that again,
but
yeah.
I'm not expecting, if it's up to Villa, it's going to be a terrible game to watch as a neutral. Put it that way. That's what I'd be expecting. It's going to be something similar, or the way we'd set up, it's going to be something similar to Ajax. Because we could have won that game if we, if we, how do I put it? If we didn't want to go there and draw and we were like, oh, we're going to try and win or whatever, we'd have won that game. Because Ajax weren't a great side last season and not fantastic this campaign either. So that's what I think our plan will be. Go there and do not lose. So, yeah.
Well, this is where Emery earns his money, isn't he? Doesn't he? As a cup specialist, as a European competition specialist, if he goes there
to Preston and don't lose, take it to penalties.
No, but if he goes there to go gung-ho to try and win 5-0 because it looks sexy and it make the fans happy, but we end up screwing it up and losing, that's on you, mate. Yeah. You set us up in the wrong way. Like, go there, stifle him.
He'll know.
He'll know how to handle it. I'll be amazed if we were free-flowing and attacking from the first minute. I expect us to be calm, patient, probing, to an extent boring. And if that sees us through the game and we can win the tie at Villa Park, that is the strategy I would expect.
Yeah, and as well, like, if you try and break down the game, call it 60 minutes and it's still 0-0 or whatever, Club Brugge know they need to come out of the shape a little bit, open up. That's when you pounce and can you nick that goal and take a win back to Villa Park. So that'll be the game plan. It'll be keep it tight for the first half, first hour, however long until you get a chance to. Because we'll get chances. We have too many quality players in the team not to turn them in transition and have an opportunity for 2v2 or 3v3 or something. That's when those players, earn their stripes and they have in their careers already. So that'll be the game plan. Keep it tight. Don't give away any mistakes. Don't pick the ball up if you're not Obi Martin, as you say, as long as he's in his area as well. And
good caveat.
Hopefully, and it's not a pass back. We'll be fine.
Yeah, okay. Last question to end on from VillaFan07 says, how do you assess Villa's season now as a whole so far? Round of 16 in the Champions League, and we, as we did our video for Champions League predictions on Saturday, I think it was, we expect us to get past this tie and go to at least the quarterfinals. Spoiler alert, maybe further. Go back and listen to that one. FA got quarter-final against a championship side where we back us to get through that round and get to a Wembley semi-final. And as VillaFan07 says, only 4 points off a Champions League place in the league. Currently 9th or 10th or something like that. But points-wise,
we're
very
not
congested,
spinning that narrative, by the way.
very tight. No, but this is the question. It's in front of me.
It's an accurate points differential.
Well, it's a fact.
We're not the ones bringing it up.
Yeah, it's a fact. So how do you assess Villa season as a whole when you take those things into consideration as of March the 2nd? How do you rate it out of 10?
Well, if you list where we are in the 3 competitions that we remain in, at the start of the season, I think everyone would have said, fantastic. That's a fantastic campaign. We could win the FA Cup, which is enough on its own, by the way. That's it. Done. Champions League round of 16, fantastic. In the Premier League, the points sounds great, but we know, having lived the last few months, that all is not rosy in the league. We have difficult games to come. We've kept a couple of 3 clean sheets is it all season in the league. Something like that, maybe 4. But yeah, it hasn't been great, and we know that we're mid-table basically, and that European football isn't a given at all. So I don't know if I kind of had to put a number on it. It's really difficult because the 3 competitions,
they're all quite different.
They're all very, very different. In the Champions League, we've already gone far enough. If we were to get knocked out by Club Brugge, I'd be disappointed because it's a team that you can win over 2 legs.
Yeah.
But equally, I would feel like, well, we've given it a shot. We finished in the top 8. It's disappointing to go out to that team, yeah, but we've also, if you're going to think about the commercial side, made £75+ million, and we've had the experience. We've gone far.
We've got to the stage I expected us
to.
Yeah.
We haven't fallen short in terms of expectations. Put it that way. The FA Cup, that's a massive
further along
now. So I'm not going to put a number on our campaign so far, but I think we all know where we are, and it feels. How do I put it? It's really hard to look into the future. Basically, it feels like we're living the season day by day because there could be an injury tomorrow, and the next, and it's really It feels like the season's been about a decade long. Put it that way.
Yeah.
It feels like it could be another decade to come.
We've said on seasons before, haven't we, how it kind of feels like 2 seasons rolled into one. Like it feels so different that
last season
when you have a change of manager, or one half of the season isn't as good as the other, and all those kind of things. We have kind of ambled our way through the Premier League, not played particularly well in hardly any games, not won as many as we want to, not kept as many clean sheets as we want to, not scored as many goals, etc., etc. We all watch Villa, we all know what we've seen, and we are where we are for those reasons. But we are potentially, because of those reasons, we are where we are in the cup competitions as well. And we've said about the FA Cup, if you can kind of get far almost by accident, and I'm not saying we have, because we played a couple of Premier League sides, but we've beaten Cardiff pretty straightforwardly at Villa Park. We now have a Championship side away to get to a semi-final. Like, we're now at a stage where obviously you take it seriously and you play your best side, but we're playing some decent games here. The Champions League, I would have predicted us to get to the round of 16 via the knockout playoffs. So we've played less games than I thought we would, but we've got to the stage that I expected us to. And I do think we will progress to the quarterfinal. So that's better than my expectation. An FA Cup semi-final would be better than my expectation. 9th, 8th or 7th would be below where I want to be in the Premier League. But if you couple that with the other competitions that we're in, you can't say it's a bad season because it's not as good as last year, because last year was so good and so much higher than expectation.
Last year was 1 year ahead of time, if that makes sense. So was 1 season ahead. I'll let you finish anyway. Go on.
Well, yeah, I mean, that is the point, isn't it? If last season was this season and it was finishing 4th and the Conference League, and then next season was this season where you're in with a shot of Europe, but you're going to be in the Champions League, and that's maybe why. And that's kind of how it's unfolded. And if it was the other way around, you wouldn't be saying that one season was better than the other, because it's been a kind of a nice incremental upwards turn of trajectory of progress, whereas this year you've kind of gone up and then gone down again. But yeah,
my point at the start of this season was just playing Europe next year.
Exactly.
And I'm not going to be like disingenuous to be like, oh, if you don't get this. I said what I said at the start of the season: have a good run in the Champions League, make the most of it, enjoy yourselves, have great nights, special nights. We've had that. Hopefully, have more. So that's that done for me. Not done as in it can end tomorrow and be happy, but we can be proud of our progress in that competition. We've held our own for sure. The FA Cup, we're going further than I thought. I might have predicted us to win something, but we know what Villa are like. The 3rd round seems to be the end of our journey in most years. and that's still alive and kicking. We've got a great opportunity. And in the league, I just wanted Europe. And other people may be saying, "Oh, you got to keep the Champions League," once you've got it. Very, very few teams manage to do that if you don't have the revenues and whatnot of the commercial six. So, yeah, I can't be anything other than happy about where we are. Again, we have 10 games left. If we have 4 games left and we're 6 points away from Europe, that obviously changes my tone. But we are where we are right now. We have some players coming back. Hopefully, no more bad injuries or in a group anyway. I'm still going to be positive about it. So, yeah, I just wanted Europe next season to stay in Europe after every year. We know we're going to have challenges. We're going to have to sell players and buy players. Monchi said it literally in August when we did an interview with him, saying we're going to sell players. If you want to progress, you have to sell players. So, get Champions League or Europa League, we're going to have to make money. And we've seen that selling John Duran. If we want to buy players, you've got to sell players. That's just the space we're in.
Yeah.
But to be in Europe and have the chance to win trophies, ultimately, that is what the history books will read, where Villa have been in the elite competitions. They've won X trophies in Unai Emery's tenure. And, yeah, we still have a chance of doing that this season and next season. To be in Europe, obviously, that's still an opportunity for us too.
Yeah. I've almost titled this something like a Villa the perfect cup team or something like that, because that feels... that's an easy narrative to spin when you're doing well in the cups and not so well in the league. But like, are we a cup team? I don't know. I suppose it's like you boil it down to, if you put Villa in front of anybody in a knockout style game of winner takes all, and you've got your best squads available, which doesn't work in football, I'd back us to beat most teams. But would I then give us the same level of consistency over the course of a 38-game season? No. Well, again, that's only proof by what we've seen so far.
Consistency has been the issue this season. So whatever you want to brand that as, that's been the problem for us. If we, again, we're finishing in a minute, but if we had picked up a few more Bournemouth last-minute equalisers, Man United 0-0, West Ham, Ipswich, Wolves, you take 7 points from that, we'd be in the top 4. So,
yeah, and still doing all the other stuff, probably.
Yeah, and that's a very fine line as well. We come very close to beating Brighton. West Ham was a poor goal. Bournemouth, poor goal. It's not like Frank Lampard, corner goal. But you get my point. It's not as if in those games we were blown away. We didn't deserve those. We probably deserved something more. Not against Wolves, not against other teams, but in at least 4 of them, I'd say we deserved something more than what we got. And if you accumulate that could be 5 or 6 points better off from where we are now, which is above the teams that we're competing with. So
especially when it's in games against some of those, like Bournemouth not getting the penalty against Forest. I know every club can say these kind of things, but
we do have difficult games to come now. So we had an easier run now. Now we have to really back ourselves and prove ourselves again in the next few weeks.
Yeah. Okay, let's wrap up there then. We've done an hour and 13 minutes. There's still 650 people watching right to the very end of this on a Sunday evening. It's 20 past 10. That's madness. I did not realise it. It only feels like 5 minutes ago we were reacting to the cup draw, and that was 7:30. So
what's the time? I can't see the time. I don't know what the time is.
It's 20 past 10 here. Is it 20 past 11 there? You an hour ahead?
It's got to be, yeah. I got work to do, so
enjoy your
my sleep schedule is like, yeah. And my crusty rolls, these are so crusty. Like, I thought they were out of date, but they're not, because in the middle they're still like fluffy. So no one cares. 650 people. I don't care. Move on.
640 now. Right, we'll call it a night there. Thanks everyone for tuning into our podcast live. We massively appreciate you picking us when there's so many other Villa podcasts out there to listen to. If you are getting this on catch up, you can scroll down to the comment section and leave your thoughts on anything that we've discussed tonight. Likewise, there is a comment section on Spotify and a review/rating system on Apple Podcasts. If you can leave us 5 stars and some nice words there, that'd be lovely too. John, thank you for joining us all the way from Belgium. Thanks everyone for watching or listening. And we'll be back for the post-match show for Belgium on Tuesday night.